The planet Ardent was once green and peaceful. It had open plains, blue rivers, and human colonies built with shining towers. But that peace ended when the sky caught fire. The alien swarm called the Crixa arrived from deep space. They were not a single species, but a hive of creatures made of metal and flesh. They moved like an infection, destroying everything that lived. Ryan, pilot from Earth's defense fleet, had been stationed on Ardent for 6 months before the attack began. He had trained for many battles, but nothing could prepare him for what the Crixae brought. Their ships rained plasma across the surface, turning cities into glowing ruins. When the attack began, Ryan was in his fighter jet, Skyhawk 7. He joined the defense squadron to intercept the swarm. The sky turned red as explosions filled the air. His squadmates' voices shouted over the radio, one after another disappearing into static. Ryan's ship shook as he dived through falling debris. He fired at a Crixa drone, destroying it, but there were too many. A blast hit his left wing. Warning lights filled the cockpit. Ryan fought to control the ship as smoke spread inside. He pulled the ejection lever, and the canopy blew open. The force threw him out into the burning sky. He fell for several seconds before his parachute deployed. Below him, the capital city of Nova Reach was in flames. Ryan landed on the edge of a destroyed defense base. His communicator was damaged and he could not contact anyone. He looked around and saw broken machines, burning vehicles, and fallen soldiers. The world around him was silent except for the distant roar of alien engines. He found a rifle from a destroyed transport and checked its power cell. Then he began moving toward the mountains. The command post was supposed to be there, about 15 kilometers away. He hoped someone was still alive as he crossed the ruins. He saw shadows moving in the smoke. Crixa patrol drones hovered, scanning for survivors. Ryan hid behind a collapsed wall and held his breath. One of the drones came closer. Its red eye glowed, scanning the area. Ryan waited for it to turn, then fired a single shot. The blast hit its core, and it fell to the ground. He moved quickly before more came. After hours of walking, Ryan reached an open valley filled with wreckage. The night sky above Ardent was dark with ash and fire. He sat behind a broken tank to rest. His energy was fading, and his mind was heavy. He thought about Earth, about his home, and about the promise he made to protect human colonies. Then he saw something that made him forget his fear. A bright line crossed the sky. It looked like a star falling, but it was too fast and too controlled. It crashed on the far side of the valley, shaking the ground. Ryan grabbed his rifle and ran toward it. When he reached the crash site, he saw a silver ship half buried in the soil. Its shape was strange, curved like the bones of a creature. Steam rose from the cracks. A sound came from inside a low growl, mixed with pain. Ryan aimed his rifle carefully and stepped closer. The metal shell opened with a hiss. A tall figure stepped out. For a moment, Ryan thought it was a dream. The being had wings made of glowing silver scales and eyes like fire. Her skin was pale gold, and her armor shone with marks he could not read. She looked part human, part dragon. She stumbled, breathing hard, and placed her hand against the hull. Ryan lowered his weapon slightly. She was injured. The creature turned her head and looked at him. Her eyes narrowed. "You are human," she said in a deep voice. Ryan froze. "You can speak my language?" "I learned long ago," she said. Her voice carried both power and pain. "Who are you?" "Ryan, pilot of Earth Defense Fleet." She looked at him for a moment, then said, "I am Serana of Draconis." The name meant nothing to Ryan, but he could tell she was not part of the Crixa. Her body language showed strength and honor, not the cold hunger he had seen in the swarm. Serana tried to walk, but stumbled. Ryan moved to help her. She hesitated, then accepted his arm. Together they walked toward a small cave near the crash site. Inside, Ryan started a small fire using a plasma torch. Serana sat down, holding her side where her armor was cracked. A faint blue liquid leaked from the wound. "Stay still," Ryan said. "I can help." You are not a healer, she said with a faint smile. No, but I can patch metal and wires. Armor is not much different. He used a sealing gel from his survival kit and spread it across the damaged armor plates. Serana watched him with a curious look. Why help me, human? She asked. Because you're not my enemy, he said. And right now, I don't have many friends left. She looked into the fire. The Krixa came for us too. My people fought them long before they reached your world. We thought they were destroyed, but the swarm only hid and grew stronger. My ship followed their trail here. I did not expect to find another race already under attack. Ryan's eyes widened. So you know how to fight them? I know their weakness, she said. But I need my ship repaired to contact my fleet. Ryan nodded. Then we work together. You help me reach the human command post, and I help you fix your ship. Serana studied him for a moment, then gave a slow nod. Agreed, but if you betray me, I will burn you before your breath ends. Ryan smiled slightly. Fair enough. As the fire flickered, Ryan examined her wings. They were metallic, yet alive, moving with soft motion. He had seen many alien species during training, but none like her. She was something ancient, something noble. You're kind, he said softly. Draconis? Are there many of you? Not anymore, she said. Our empire fell centuries ago. The stars we once ruled are dust now. I am one of few who remain, bound by oath to protect life from the swarm. Ryan looked into the fire. Then, maybe fate brought you here. Serana tilted her head. Humans believe in fate. Some of us do, he said. Others just believe in trying again, no matter what happens. Serana seemed to think about that. She leaned back against the cave wall, her eyes glowing faintly. You are strange, human. You fight when your kind is almost lost. Ryan smiled tiredly. That's what we do best. For a while, silence filled the cave. Outside, the wind howled, carrying the distant echo of battle. Serana finally spoke again. If we are to fight together, you must understand how the Krixel move. They feed on fear. They follow signals of distress, destroying everything that calls for help. To reach your command post, we must travel without broadcasting any message. Ryan nodded. Then we walk. You walk. I fly, she said. But not tonight. My wings are weak. Ryan looked at her closely. You saved my life out there, didn't you? She turned her eyes to him. If I wanted you dead, you'd be ashes by now. Ryan chuckled quietly. Guess that means we're allies then. Serana gave a faint smile. For now. The next morning, the fire had burned down to ashes. Ryan packed his gear, and Serana checked her armor. She stretched her wings, testing their strength. The wounds had sealed, but she still moved carefully. We move east, Ryan said. There's a mountain ridge about 2 days from here. The command post should be near it. Serana looked toward the rising sun. Then let us go. The swarm does not sleep. As they started their journey, Ryan noticed how her steps left light marks on the ground. She moved silently, her eyes scanning the horizon. The combination of human and dragon walking side by side would have seemed impossible to anyone else. But on this ruined world, it was the only hope left. Hours later, they saw smoke rising in the distance. Ryan raised his binoculars and looked. Krixa patrol camp, he said. At least 20 drones. Serana's wings shimmered faintly. Leave them to me. Before Ryan could answer, she took to the air. Her wings spread wide, and silver fire streamed from them. The sky lit up as she dove toward the camp. Ryan watched in awe. The drones fired, but their shots bounced off her armor. She landed among them like a storm, swinging her claws and breathing flame that melted metal. Within minutes, the camp was silent. When she returned, her armor was glowing from the heat. The path is clear, she said calmly. Ryan looked at her with respect. Remind me not to argue with you. Could not win, she said with a faint smile. As they continued their journey, the bond between them began to form. It was not yet friendship, but it was something close. Ryan had seen courage before, but never like this. And Serana, who had fought for centuries, began to feel something she had almost forgotten: trust. When night came again, they rested near a river of molten rock. The stars above were dim behind the smoke. Ryan looked up and whispered, "We'll make it. We'll show them humans don't fall easily." Serana looked at him, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "Then let us see if your words hold truth, human." The sky burned above them, and the journey of fire and steel had only begun. The morning after the battle at the Krixa camp was silent except for the sound of distant wind. Smoke drifted across the broken hills, and the ground was covered with the remains of machines. Ryan stood beside the wreckage, checking the power cell of his rifle. Serana stood a few steps away, her silver armor glowing faintly in the rising light. The two of them had walked together for many miles since they met. Ryan had learned that Serana was proud, serious, and always alert. She never showed fear even when danger was close. Her movements were smooth and precise. Like someone who had fought in countless wars, Ryan admired her strength but also felt the weight of what was ahead. The human command post at Dawn Ridge was still far away, and the land between them was crawling with Krixa patrols. "We should keep moving," Ryan said, adjusting his pack. "The longer we stay in one place, the more likely they find us." Arana nodded. "You are right. The swarm hunts by heat and movement. If we travel before sunrise and after sunset, we can avoid their main patrols." Ryan smiled. "Good plan. I'll follow your lead." Serana spread her wings slightly to test them. The wound she took during her crash was healing fast, but she still avoided full flight. "I will walk for now," she said. "My wings are strong, but they are not ready for long flight yet." They began their journey east, walking through the valley. The land was scarred by the invasion. Craters and burned forests stretched across the horizon. Broken machines lay scattered like bones of a fallen world. Ryan's boots crunched against the ash as he walked beside Serana. "Your people," Ryan said after some time. "You said they once protected others. What happened to them?" Serana looked at the horizon. Her golden eyes were calm but sad. "We were proud. Too proud. The Draconis believed no one could defeat us. When the swarm came to our worlds, we fought without fear. We burned thousands of their ships, but they never stopped coming. For every swarm we destroyed, more appeared. They do not feel pain, and they do not understand mercy." Ryan nodded. "Sounds like them. We lost 6 colonies already. Ardent might be next if we fail."
Anna.
Serana looked at him. "Then we cannot fail." They stopped near a destroyed transport to rest. Ryan opened a ration pack and offered half to Serana. She looked at the small packet with interest. "You eat this?" she asked. "It's food," Ryan said. "Not great, but it keeps you alive." She accepted it carefully and tasted it. "Strange flavor," she said, "but useful." Ryan laughed softly. "Yeah, that's one way to describe it." They rested for a while, then continued walking. Along the way, Ryan noticed how Serana moved like a soldier, always watching for threats, always ready to strike. He wondered how old she really was. She looked young, but her eyes carried the weight of many lifetimes. As the sun began to set, they reached the edge of a canyon. A broken bridge stretched across it. On the other side, Ryan could see what looked like an old mining station that might have supplies. Said. Serana looked across the canyon. "The bridge will not hold your weight." Ryan stepped closer. "Maybe not mine and yours together, but one at a time should be fine." She unfolded her wings slightly. "I can glide across. You go first. If it breaks, I will catch you." Ryan hesitated. "Catch me? That's a lot of trust." Serana looked at him with a small smirk. "You trusted me when I could have burned you. Return the favor." He smiled back and stepped onto the bridge. The metal groaned under his boots, but it held. Slowly, he crossed to the other side. Serana then leaped from the edge and glided across the gap with grace. Her wings spread wide, catching the wind like a silver sail. She landed beside him softly. Inside the mining station, they found damaged equipment, fuel cells, and old tools. Ryan worked on a generator while Serana explored the tunnels. When she returned, She carried a large crate of strange metal shards. "Draconis steel," she said. "These could help repair my armor and the communication unit on my ship." Ryan looked up. "You think you can call your fleet?" "If the relay is strong enough, yes," she said. "But we need to reach higher ground to send the signal." We stayed the night in the mining station. The air was cool and dry. Ryan sat near a small lantern while Serana worked on reshaping the metal shards. Sparks flew as she used her claws to mold the metal, her movements precise and focused. Ryan watched her with curiosity. "You really can shape metal with your hands?" "With training," she said. "Draconis warriors learn to control fire from birth. It is part of who we are. My fire can melt steel, but it can also give life to it again." He nodded. "Impressive." She looked up. "And you? What do humans learn from birth?" Ryan thought for a moment. "We learn to adapt. We're not the strongest or the fastest, but we don't give up easily." Serana smiled faintly. "That may be why you still stand." For a while, silence filled the station. Outside, the wind carried the sound of distant thunder. Ryan leaned against the wall, closing his eyes for a moment. He felt tired but safe. Serana spoke softly. "Ryan, when we reach your command post, will your people accept me?" Ryan opened his eyes. "They'll have to. You're helping us fight the swarm. Humans fear what they do not understand," she said. "My kind looks like what your people once called dragons. Your soldiers may not see me as an ally." Ryan looked at her with determination. "Then I'll make them see. If they don't listen, they can take it up with me." Serana gave a quiet laugh. "You have courage, human. I respect that." Before dawn, a deep rumble shook the ground. Ryan jumped to his feet. "What was that?" Serana stepped outside and looked toward the horizon. "Krixa walkers," she said. "Heavy units. They are searching the area." Ryan grabbed his rifle. "We can't stay here." Serana nodded. "Agreed. But we can slow them down." They moved quickly through the canyon, keeping to the shadows. The sound of metal feet grew louder as the Krixa approached. Ryan crouched behind a rock and saw 3 large machines walking in formation. Each one was armed with plasma cannons and claws sharp enough to cut through steel. Serana crouched beside him. "Their armor is thick, but their eyes are weak. Aim for the red lenses." Ryan aimed his rifle. "Got it." Wait. She took a deep breath, and her wings opened slightly. A soft silver glow spread across her armor. "On your mark," she whispered. Ryan counted down. 3, 2, 1. They both attacked. Ryan's rifle fired first, hitting one walker in the eye. The machine staggered backwards, sparks flying. Serana rose into the air and released a wave of fire that washed over the second walker. The heat melted its weapons instantly. The third turned toward her, firing wild shots, but Ryan hit its leg joint, and it fell with a crash. The battle lasted only a few minutes. When it ended, the machines lay broken across the canyon floor. Smoke and light rose from the wreckage. Ryan lowered his weapon, breathing hard. "That was something." Serana landed beside him, her armor glowing from the heat. "You fight well," she said. "Your aim is true." "Thanks," Ryan said, smiling. "Couldn't have done it without your fire." She looked at him with a thoughtful expression. "Perhaps we make a strong pair. Steel and flame." Ryan nodded. "Yeah, fire and steel." Continued moving until they reached the mountain path. From the high ridge, they could see the remains of the city far below. Smoke still rose from the ruins, but they also saw faint light signals from what could be the human command post. Serana pointed. "Your people still fight." Ryan felt hope return to his chest. Then we're not too late. As night fell, they made camp near the ridge. The stars above were faint, but still visible through the smoke. Ryan looked at them quietly. "Back on Earth, I used to look at the stars and think they were peaceful. Now they feel different." Serana followed his gaze. "Stars are never peaceful. They are fire waiting to burn. But even fire gives light." Ryan smiled slightly. "You talk like a philosopher." "I've lived long enough to see patterns repeat," she said. "War always returns, but so does courage." The wind blew softly around them. Ryan added a small log to the fire. You know, Serana, if humans and Draconis fought together, maybe we could end this swarm for good. She looked at him. Perhaps. But alliances are built on trust. That must come first. Ryan met her eyes. Then let's start with that. Serana was silent for a long time. Then she nodded. You have my word, Ryan. I will fight beside you until the swarm is no more. He extended his hand, and you have mine. She looked at his hand curiously, then placed her clawed hand in his. Her grip was strong but gentle. The firelight danced between them as the bond was sealed, not just between a human and a dragon warrior, but between two survivors who refused to bow to extinction far above them. In the darkness of space, the Crixa hive was already preparing for another strike. But on the burning world of Ardent, a new alliance had been born, an alliance of fire and steel. The wind howled across the mountains as Ryan and Serana climbed the last ridge. Below them, the command base of Dawn Ridge stretched across a narrow plateau. It was built from heavy steel walls and shield towers, surrounded by trenches and defense guns. The blue lights of human patrol drones moved around the perimeter. Ryan looked at the base and smiled with relief. We made it. Serana studied the scene carefully. Your soldiers have courage to build so close to the swarm's reach. They had no choice, Ryan said. Dawn Ridge is the last line before the central colony. If this falls, Ardent is lost. They began their descent, keeping to the shadows. When they reached the outer gate, a pair of human guards raised their weapons. Identify yourself, one of them shouted. Ryan stepped forward, raising his hands. Lieutenant Ryan Hale, Earth Defense Fleet, pilot of Skyhawk 7. The guard hesitated. We thought all Skyhawks were destroyed. Not all, Ryan said. He motioned toward Serana. And this is my ally. She's not human, but she fights the Crixa. She saved my life. The guards looked at Serana with wide eyes. Her silver armor gleamed under the searchlight, and her wings shimmered faintly. One of them whispered, Is that a dragon? Serana stood tall and said calmly, I am Serana of Draconis. I seek alliance, not conflict. The guards exchanged a nervous look. Then one pressed his communicator. Open the gate. The commander needs to see this. The heavy doors opened with a deep rumble. Inside, soldiers and engineers paused their work to stare as Ryan and Serana walked through. Whispers followed them, but Ryan kept moving, leading her toward the command center. Inside, Commander Reeves stood over a hollow map, showing Crixa position spreading toward the base. He was a tall man with tired eyes and a calm voice. When he saw Ryan, he froze. Lieutenant Hale, you're alive. Yes, sir, Ryan said. I brought help. Reeves looked at Serana, his face unreadable. Help? What exactly is she? Serana bowed her head slightly. I am Draconis. My kind once fought the swarm that now threatens your world. I offer my strength. The commander folded his arms. And why should we trust you? Ryan stepped forward. Because she's the reason I'm standing here. She knows the enemy better than we do. If we want to survive, we need her. Reeves studied her for a moment, then sighed. Very well. If you can fight, we'll take all the help we can get. But understand this. Both of you, the Crixa, are gathering for a full assault. Our scouts say they'll hit the base within a day. Serana's eyes narrowed. Then we prepare. Ryan nodded. We'll fight with everything we've got. The commander smiled faintly. That's the spirit I like to hear. For the next several hours, Ryan and Serana worked with the soldiers to strengthen defenses. Serana taught the engineers how to focus heat charges in a pattern that could melt the armor of Crixa beasts. She also demonstrated how her fire could be used to fuse steel for stronger barriers. The soldiers watched her with both fear and awe. When she spread her wings to ignite plasma traps along the walls, they whispered among themselves. Ryan heard one of them say, She's like a living weapon. When night fell, the warning sirens started. The first wave of the Crixa swarm was approaching. Ryan climbed into his old battle mech, a damaged machine named Vanguard. The armor was cracked, and one arm cannon was missing, but it could still fight. Serana stood beside him, her eyes glowing in the red emergency light. "Stay close to me," Ryan said. "If they breach the wall, we fall back to the inner gate." Serana nodded. "Understood." As the ground began to shake, the sky turned dark as the swarm arrived. Hundreds of flying drones and walking beasts. Their bodies glowed with red veins of energy. The Crixus screamed in metallic voices that echoed through the mountains. "Positions!" Commander Reeves shouted through the speakers. "All guns fire at will." The first explosion shook the air. The Crixa attacked the walls like a storm. Plasma cannons roared, tearing through the first ranks. Serana flew upward, her wings blazing with silver light. She released a burst of flame that swept across the swarm, melting entire groups of drones. Ryan fired the mech's main cannon, taking down a large Crixa crawler. The impact sent waves of heat across the field. "Good shot," Serana called through the com-link. Ryan grinned. "You're not bad yourself." But the Crixa kept coming. Massive biomechanical beasts crawled out of the smoke. Each one was as large as a building, covered in armor plates that glowed with energy. Their claws dug into the ground as they advanced toward the wall. Ryan targeted one and fired again. But the blast barely scratched it. "These things are tougher than they look." Serana landed beside his mech, fire burning across her wings. "Aim for the chest core," she said. "That is where the energy flows." Ryan focused and fired again, this time hitting the center. The creature screamed as its body cracked apart. The battle lasted for hours. The sky burned with explosions, and the sound of metal clashing filled the air. The humans fought with everything they had, and Serana fought beside them like a storm made of light and flame. When one of the walls collapsed, Ryan moved his mech forward to block the gap. Crixa drones climbed over his armor, tearing at the joints. Serana dove from above, releasing a burst of fire that cleared the area around him. "Thanks for the assist," Ryan said. "You owe me one," she replied with a hint of humor. By dawn, the first wave had ended. The field outside the base was covered in smoke and twisted metal. Soldiers cheered as the remaining Crixa retreated into the mist. Commander Reeves walked up to Ryan and Serana. "You did well. Both of you. But this was just the beginning. Our sensors show a second wave forming. This one is larger." Ryan clenched his fists. "We'll be ready." Serana looked toward the horizon. "They will send their war beasts next. Machines made from the bodies of the fallen. You must prepare your heavy weapons." Reeves nodded. "We'll move the tanks to the upper ridge. Lieutenant Hale, you and Serana will lead the front line." Ryan saluted. "Yes, sir." By midday, the second wave began. The ground trembled under the feet of massive Crixa war beasts. Each one had multiple limbs and cannons growing from its body. The swarm came in organized ranks, our red lights glowing like a sea of fire. Serana stood beside Ryan's mech, her wings spread wide. "They bring their full strength," she said. Ryan tightened his grip on the controls. "Then we show them ours." When the first beast reached the walls, Serana launched into the air, flying straight into its face. Her fire burned bright enough to blind the swarm. The creature roared, swinging its claws. But she dodged with speed and struck its neck with her blazing blade. Ryan fired his mech's remaining cannon, hitting another beast in the chest. The explosion lit up the entire ridge. "Keep the line," Commander Reeves shouted over the radio. "No one falls back." The humans fought with courage, using rockets and heavy lasers to bring down the largest enemies. Serana's fire covered them whenever they reloaded. Ryan moved through the battlefield like a steel guardian, crushing drones underfoot. Then, a sudden blast hit his mech from behind. The cockpit shook violently, and alarms screamed. Ryan's head hit the control panel, but he stayed conscious. "Ryan." Serana's voice came through the link. "You are hit." "I'm fine," he said, struggling to regain control. One of the beasts got a lucky shot. Before he could move, the damaged beast aimed again. Serana saw it and dove in front of the shot. The plasma blast struck her full on the side. She fell hard, crashing near the wall. "Serana," Ryan shouted. He jumped out of the mech and ran toward her. Smoke rose from her armor, and one wing was torn. She tried to stand, but collapsed again. "Stay back," she said weakly. "You must fight." Ryan shook his head. "Not without you." He picked up a fallen plasma rifle and turned to face the beast. It raised its cannon again, but before it could fire, Ryan sprinted forward, aiming for its glowing chest. He fired 3 shots, hitting the energy core. The beast exploded, sending fire and debris across the field. When the smoke cleared, the swarm was breaking. Commander Reeves gave the final order to push forward. The soldiers advanced, firing until the last drone fell silent. The battle was over. The humans had won. Ryan dropped to his knees beside Serana. Her eyes were dim, but she was still breathing. "You're going to be okay," he said. She looked at him and gave a faint smile. "You fought with fire in your heart. The Krixa will remember this day." "Don't talk like that," he said. "We're both making it out of this." Medics arrived and lifted her onto a stretcher. Ryan followed as they carried her into the base. Commander Reeves met him at the gate. "You saved us, Lieutenant. You and your dragon friend." Ryan looked at the battlefield. Smoke still rose from the remains of the swarm. "We held the line, sir. But the cost was heavy," Reeves nodded. "Sometimes victory demands it. Get some rest. You've earned it." Ryan turned to see Serana being taken into the medical wing. He felt a strange heaviness in his chest. She had protected him when she could have left. He realized then that their bond was no longer just about survival. The medical bay of Dawn Ridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of healing equipment. Ryan sat on a metal bench near Serana's bed. Her silver armor was removed, leaving only light protective layers beneath. The wounds from the battle were healing, but her breathing was heavy. Every rise and fall of her chest showed the effort it took to survive. Ryan watched her closely. He had seen countless battles, but this felt different. She had saved his life not just with fire and strength, but by putting herself in danger to protect him. He felt a mix of respect, awe, and something deeper that he did not yet fully understand. A medic came by and nodded at Ryan. "She's stable. Her energy's returning, but she must rest. Any stress now could slow the healing." "Ah," Ryan nodded. "I understand. Thank you." Once the medic left, Ryan spoke softly. "You fought like no one I've ever seen. Not human, not anything I've known. You're incredible." Serana stirred and opened her eyes. They were still glowing faintly, but they carried a tired warmth. "I fought because you were in danger," she said. Her voice was quiet but firm. "That is all." Ryan leaned forward. "It was more than that. You risked your life for me? That's not something anyone forgets." Serana looked away for a moment, then back at him. "In my culture, fighting back to back with another being forms a bond, a sacred bond. It is not given lightly." Ryan's heart skipped a beat. "A bond." "Yes," she said, her gaze steady. "When warriors trust each other in mortal danger, it is more than friendship. It is respect, loyalty, and protection. It is a connection that lasts beyond the battlefield." Ryan swallowed. "So, what does that mean for us?" Serana looked at him carefully. "You have earned my trust, Ryan. You stood by my side, even when the swarm was everywhere. You fought with courage and honor. That makes you—" She hesitated for a moment, then said, "My mate in battle." Ryan blinked. The words felt strange, but not unwelcome. He could see the seriousness in her eyes. This was not a casual statement. It was a declaration, a recognition of the bond forged in fire. I don't know what to say," he said honestly. "You do not need to say anything," she replied. "Just understand that I will fight beside you, always. Your life and the lives of your people are as important to me as my own." Ryan nodded slowly, feeling a warmth in his chest. "Then I will fight beside you too, Serana, no matter what comes." The next morning, the command center was buzzing with activity. The Krixa swarm was regrouping, and scouts reported a massive attack on the horizon. Ryan stood with Commander Reeves as he studied the holomap. "We have estimated numbers," Reeves said. "This wave is larger than the last. Hundreds of war beasts, thousands of drones. If we do not act, Dawn Ridge will fall. Ryan turned to Serana, who had been observing quietly. What do you suggest? She stepped forward. We need to strike first. Wait for them to gather close to our outer defenses, then launch a surprise attack. My fire can destroy their smaller forces while your heavy weapons target the war beasts.
Reeves nodded.
It is risky, but it might give us the edge. Ryan, you will lead the strike team with Serana. Ryan glanced at her. Ready? Serana's eyes glowed faintly. Always. By late afternoon, the soldiers, Ryan, and Serana were in position. The terrain was a narrow canyon leading to the base. Crixa drones patrolled the hills, their red lights blinking. In the distance, the massive war beasts moved like mountains of steel and flesh. Ryan checked his mech systems. We move on my mark. Everyone stays close to Serana. Her fire can cover us if we're spotted. Serana nodded. I will guide you. Follow my lead. The strike began. Ryan's team advanced quietly through the canyon, using debris for cover. Serana flew just above them, her silver wings blending with the smoke and ash in the distance. She released bursts of fire to create shadows and distractions, melting Crix's sensors and drawing the drones away. Ryan moved his mech carefully, taking shots at the war beasts when they became exposed. Each shot required precision, and the coordination with Serana was flawless. She called out positions, warned him of incoming fire, and her presence lifted the morale of the soldiers. Hours passed in a tense rhythm of attack, retreat, and cover. The Crixa were relentless, but Serana and Ryan's team moved with unmatched coordination. The strike slowly began to turn the tide. Drones fell, smaller war beasts were destroyed, and the massive enemies hesitated under their combined assault. At dusk, they reached the heart of the swarm's formation. A colossal war beast, larger than any they had seen before, stood before them. Its red eyes glowed, and its multiple limbs bristled with plasma cannons. The ground trembled with every step it took. Ryan's mech cannon fired, hitting the creature in the shoulder, but the beast barely flinched. It's too strong for me alone, Ryan said through the comlink. Serana's wings spread wide. Then we do this together. She dove at the creature, breathing fire that swept across its front limbs. The heat melted parts of its armor, exposing weak points. Ryan aimed carefully at the chest core. On my mark, he said. Serana circled above, keeping the beast distracted. Now, she shouted. Ryan fired his cannon, striking the exposed core. The creature screamed in a metallic roar as energy erupted from its body. It stumbled, then collapsed onto the canyon floor with a massive impact that shook the surrounding ground. The remaining Crixa scattered in confusion. Ryan's team pressed forward, clearing the area of drones and small beasts. By nightfall, the battlefield was silent, except for the sound of wind and distant fires. Ryan lowered his mech. We did it, he said, though exhaustion made his voice weak. Serana landed beside him, breathing heavily. This victory is only temporary. The swarm will regroup. But today, we showed them what humans and Draconis can do together. Ryan looked at her, feeling a mixture of admiration and something deeper. Serana, I'm glad you're here. I don't think we could have done this without you. She gave him a faint smile. And I am glad you are alive to see it. You fight with more courage than any I have trained with. Perhaps that is why I trust you. Ryan nodded. Trust goes both ways. I trust you too. Serana's eyes softened. Then remember this, Ryan. Whatever comes next, I will stand by your side. Not because I must, but because I choose to. You are my mate in battle. That bond is sacred. Ryan's chest tightened. He could not fully describe what he felt, and a connection that went beyond words. I understand, he said, and I will fight beside you too, no matter the cost. They stood together on the ridge, looking out at the burning horizon. Dawn Ridge had survived, but the war was far from over. Yet, in that moment, the bond between human and Draconis warrior was stronger than any fear or enemy they faced. Serana turned her wings slightly, reflecting the firelight from the distant ruins. The next battle will test us even more, she said, Ryan clenched his fists. Then we face it together. Fire and steel. The night grew darker, but the two warriors remained vigilant. Around them, the soldiers rested, unaware of the bond forming between their two champions. Ryan watched Serana quietly, realizing that survival was no longer just about fighting. It was about trust, loyalty, and the promise they had made to each other on the battlefield. The stars above were hidden behind smoke, but the fire in their hearts burned brighter than any light. And as long as they stood together, hope remained alive for the people of Ardent. The sky above Ardent was dark with smoke, but far in orbit, the human fleet waited. Ryan stood on the bridge of a command ship, looking out at the scattered lights of the Crixa swarm. The final battle was about to begin. Below, the planet burned. But hope still lived in the hearts of those who had survived. Serana hovered nearby, her silver wings folded slightly, her eyes scanning the horizon. The Crixa have gathered their forces. Their command ship is in orbit. If we do not strike there, everything we fought for will be lost. Ryan nodded. Then we end this today. Together. The fleet's captain gave the order to advance. Ships surged forward through the blackness of space, laser beams cutting through the void. Ryan's squad of pilots, including him and his repaired Skyhawk, flew in formation. Serana rose into the sky above the planet, her armor glinting like molten silver. "Remember the plan," Ryan said through the comlink? "We hit the Crixa ships in sequence. I lead the assault on the command ship. Serana, cover us from above." "Understood," she said. Her voice carried confidence and fire as they approached the Crixa command ship. Massive drones and fighters swarmed to intercept. Ryan's squad engaged in a fierce battle, dodging energy blasts and firing at the alien vessels. Explosions erupted across the void, sending debris tumbling into space. Serana dove among the Crixa drones, her wings spreading wide. She released concentrated bursts of silver fire that shredded the enemy ships. Her presence inspired the human pilots, who coordinated their attacks with precision. Ryan fired his jet's missiles at the command ship, targeting the heavily armored hull. The explosions rocked the vessel, but did not destroy it. The Crixa retaliated with massive energy beams. Forcing the squad to maneuver with extreme care, one of the enemy drones broke through and aimed at Ryan's Skyhawk. He rolled sharply, dodging the attack, but the blast grazed his wing. Sparks flew, and the ship shuddered. "Ryan, you need to focus on the core," Serana's voice urged. "I will handle the drones." Ryan gritted his teeth. "Got it." He steered toward the central section of the command ship. Dodging fire and debris, inside the command ship, Ryan could see the control nexus, glowing red with alien energy. "This is it," he muttered. "I plant the explosive charge there, and we destroy their command." Serana flew ahead, blasting a path through the remaining drones. Her fire illuminated the dark void around her, reflecting off the metallic hull of the command ship. She moved with speed and precision, dodging beams and taking out enemies before they could react. Ryan followed, navigating through narrow gaps and avoiding collisions with falling debris. The weight of the mission pressed heavily on him. If he failed, the Crixa would survive, and all of Ardent's people would die. When he reached the command nexus, he activated the charge. Red lights blinked, signaling the countdown. "Charge set," he said through the comlink. "Now we need to get out." Serana appeared beside him, her wings shimmering in the dim light. "I will cover your exit. Follow my lead." The Crixa command ship began to sense the attack. Massive energy cannons targeted Ryan's position. He fired at them while Serana used her fire to shield him. The heat of her flames melted sections of the alien armor, buying Ryan the time he needed to retreat. "Go! Go!" she shouted. Ryan's Skyhawk burst through the smoke and fire of the destroyed sections. Behind him, Serana dove in a daring maneuver, blasting the energy cannons as they charged. Her flames roared like a silver storm, scattering Crixa drones and clearing the path. Explosions erupted across the command ship. Ryan glanced back and saw the entire structure beginning to collapse under the combined attack of human firepower and Serana's assault. The countdown on the explosive charge reached 0. A massive explosion rocked the ship, sending shockwaves through the surrounding fleet. Debris and fire lit the void. The Crixa command ship was gone. Ryan's heart pounded as he maneuvered through the debris field. Serana flew beside him, unscathed but glowing with heat from her efforts. "We did it," Ryan said, disbelief and relief in his voice. "Yes," Serana replied, breathing heavily. "The swarm is broken. Their leadership destroyed. They will scatter." The human fleet cheered as the remaining Crixa ships retreated. Planetside, the colonies began to see relief. The Crixa threat, which had loomed over Ardent for so long, was finally ending. Ryan and Serana returned to Dawnridge as heroes. Soldiers and engineers lined the streets, cheering for the human pilots and the silver-winged warrior who had fought beside them. Commander Reeves approached Ryan and Serana. "You did more than save this base. You saved an entire world. Your courage and strength will be remembered forever." Ryan looked at Serana. "We couldn't have done it without each other." She gave a faint smile. "Indeed. Humans have courage, but together with Draconis, that courage becomes unstoppable." Later, Ryan walked with Serana toward the edge of the plateau. The fires of battle still glowed in the distance, but the horizon was brighter now. The people of Ardent were alive, and for the first time in many months, hope was stronger than fear. Serana turned to him. "Ryan, there is something I must say. The bond we formed in battle? It is not just for war. It carries trust, respect, and a promise. You have fought beside me, faced death, and earned my full loyalty." Ryan felt a warmth he had not experienced before. "Serana, I feel the same. I have never trusted anyone the way I trust you. You saved my life more than once. I don't know what I would have done without you." She stepped closer, her wings folding slightly. "Then understand this. I choose to remain with your people. I will be a guardian, not just a fighter. And I will always stand by your side, Ryan, as my mate in battle and in trust." Ryan's heart pounded. "I would be honored, Serana. You've earned a place among us, and among those I care about. You are no longer just a warrior. You are part of this world now." She nodded slowly. "Then it is decided. We will protect Ardent together, and we will ensure that no threat can take this planet again." The next days were filled with rebuilding. Soldiers repaired the damaged walls, engineers restored the base's systems, and scouts surveyed the surrounding area. Ryan worked closely with Serana, learning more about her culture and fighting techniques. She, in turn, learned from the humans. Admiring their creativity and determination, children and civilians began to emerge from hiding. They stared in awe at Serana, whose wings stretched above the crowd, shimmering in the sunlight. She smiled at them, her presence calm yet powerful. Ryan noticed how the people's fear had begun to fade. They looked at her and at him with trust. "Seeing two beings from different worlds united in purpose, your bond shows them what we can achieve together," Ryan said quietly as they walked through the base. Serana nodded. "Yes, strength is not just power. It is trust, loyalty, and courage. These humans have shown all three." "All around you," Ryan smiled. "Then we make a good team." Serana's eyes reflected the sunlight. "The best team. Fire and steel, united." Months passed. Ardent began to recover. Human settlements were rebuilt, and new defenses were put in place. The Crixa threat diminished. Broken by the destruction of their command and the courage of two warriors who would not yield, Ryan and Serana continued to train together, sharing knowledge and tactics. Their bond grew stronger not only as fighters but as friends, allies, and something more profound that both felt but did not yet fully name. One evening, as the sun set over the restored plains of Ardent, Ryan and Serana stood on a hill overlooking the colony. The sky was painted with colors of hope, and the air carried a quiet peace. "You know," Ryan said, "I never imagined a dragon would fight beside me and call me her mate." Serana looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "And I never imagined a human would earn my trust and stand beside me through fire and death. Yet here we are," Ryan smiled. "Here we are, together." She extended her hand. Ryan took it, feeling the strength and warmth of her touch. "Together, we protect this world," she said. "And together, we will face whatever comes next." Ryan looked at the horizon, knowing that the Crixa were defeated, but the universe remained vast and full of unknown dangers. Yet, for the first time, he felt certain. As long as they fought together, as long as fire and steel moved as one, nothing could destroy what they had built. The wind blew softly across Ardent, carrying the sounds of life returning. Ryan and Serana stood side by side, wings and courage united, ready to face a future where hope was stronger than fear, and trust was stronger than any enemy above them. The stars shone again, free from the shadow of the swarm, and for Ardent, and for humanity. The fire of courage burned brighter than ever. The story of Ryan and Serana ended not with war, but with victory, trust, and a bond stronger than any force in the universe. The human and Draconis alliance would be remembered for generations as the day fire and steel saved a world.